Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang at 10:11. It's 10:11 Night Movie Gang. I'm here. I'm LC, and I'm here with my buddy Joseph.
Hi.
And this is your first episode, which this is like episode 29, so probably ain't.
Jump right in.
Or I don't know. This is a pretty popular movie as far as like in the film nerd. So maybe it's
You've
your
probably
first.
heard of it.
Yeah, you probably heard of it at the very least. So maybe it's people's first. This is a show where we talk about cult and genre cinema, some of the kind of lesser known gems. And I'd say, like, even though this movie was big, it's still like a really old movie.
Yeah.
So I'd say like the common person has probably heard of it but not seen it.
Yeah.
I'd
No,
say.
that was me.
Yeah, no, we just watched it. This was my second time fully watching it. Well, this is my first time watching it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
Because I watched it over the course of like a few weeks.
Long.
Because it's fucking long.
Long, and it feels long.
What is the total runtime? I like this poster.
It's very long. I think it's over 3 hours.
Running time, 207 minutes, and that's with the intermission. So that's like about 3.5 hours.
Yes.
And it feels like it. But
yeah, you settle in with these characters.
Yeah, but we'll get to it. Before we break into the movie, I want to talk about what tea are we drinking?
Good question. You made this for me.
Oh, yeah, no.
I forget what you said it was.
Joseph, you're drinking elderberry lemon balm tea, immunity plus stress.
Oh, good. I get more stress.
Well, I think you're supposed to take away the stress.
I get immunity at the cost of stress.
Yeah, it's one for the other. From Yogi. And then I'm also drinking Yogi tea. I'm drinking sweet tangerine positive energy, which supports elevated mood and energy levels.
Cool.
It contains a little bit of caffeine, which I need because I'm a little tired, but I want to talk about this film, and
A little sleepy.
I want to hang.
Chill.
It's gonna be. Plus, I don't have work till 10:30 tomorrow, which like.
That's basically like the next day.
Yeah, that's plenty. That's not that bad.
No.
But yeah, no. So both from Yogi. So Yogi, if you're out there listening, please sponsor us.
Sponsor us, Yogi.
Or if anybody out there has like their own tea company or something, like their own private like tea, send it to us.
CEO of Yogi, look out your window. I'm right there.
Boom. Before we get into Seven Samurai, you had just said before we started that you saw Mandy for the first time recently.
Yes.
Starring Nicolas Cage. I love that movie. Why'd you watch it? What did you think of it?
I watched it because it's been on my list for a while.
Did you and your girlfriend watch it?
No, I was home alone. I don't think my girlfriend. I think I've proposed it before, and she wasn't very interested. Mm-hmm. So I just put it on, and I don't know if it was my mental state. Like I like a lot about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I feel bad because as soon as I said I watched it, you were like, "Oh, I fucking love Mandy. Let's talk about it."
Oh, no, it's fine. You can tear it apart if you fucking hate it.
I'm not gonna tear it apart.
That
because
does surprise me because it does seem like your kind of movie.
And that's I think that's why I was disappointed. Like there's a lot that I liked about it, and I thought that it had a really strong vision, but I think my main complaint is it's kind of style over substance. Like it's extremely like vibey.
Yeah.
Which has its own merit, and it's super interesting to watch and look at. But when you boil it down, there's not really like a whole lot going on story wise.
No, it's a very simple revenge story.
Yeah, and I think my problem with it was, for as simple as it was really lingering on these shots for a long time. It was really like attempting to like big up the drama more than I felt that the story was like warranting.
It was kind of a slow burn.
Yeah,
what was going on.
And I mean, I like a slow burn, but like it was sort of like, I get it. Can we like move on to the next scene?
Yeah, usually I get the feeling you like a slow burn where it's like something like, I don't want to bring this damn movie again, but something like Arrival.
Yeah,
where it's like there's like a lot of complex ideas going on that that the movie wants you to take the time to really
and
sit
you're thinking
on.
about it, but there's not really a lot to think about with Mandy.
No.
Like it's more just like absorb yourself and kind of lose yourself in these really cool like lighting and visuals. And I really appreciated the way this was shot and the sound.
Yeah, I love the score and the sound design.
And I love Nicolas Cage's performance. I like more than I disliked. I was just disappointed because I at the end of it I felt kind of just like, well, I don't really have like any thoughts about the story.
I kind of feel like would you say that you wanted more explanation about like the bad guys, like the cult and the biker gang, like the demon,
No.
but the demon bikers?
I think I about got it. Like I was like, okay, so like these guys are either so acided up and so is Nick Cage that they're basically monsters and he's perceiving them as monsters, or they're just actual demons.
Yeah.
Either way, it's the same. And that, like, I don't know. I felt like having all the characters on acid for the whole movie was an interesting choice. It wasn't a bad choice, but I feel like it made like a movie like The Shining can have these like super long shots because you're just wondering like what's going on in someone's head, or you're like you get this feeling of dread. And I feel like Mandy, these like super long lingering shots and these super slow scenes just did not feel earned.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, it definitely is.
I think I also bigged the movie up too much in my head before I watched it.
Gotcha. You overhyped it a bit in your brain. Yeah, no, that's fair.
If I were to compare, sorry to interrupt, but if I were to compare it to any movie though, like stylistically, it's gonna be weird. But Ted K, the Unabomber movie with Sharlto Copley, super similar in like tone and pacing. Like it's also got this like synth like soundtrack and these super long slow shots and these like really trippy visuals later on. But for me, Ted K just had that feeling of like dread and horror.
Gotcha.
That Mandy just felt, I don't know. It felt almost like too many cooks too.
No, I get what you're saying. I feel like, you know what, based on your description there, I think that you're not going to like Love Lies Bleeding. Okay. Because Love Lies Bleeding is very much a movie that rests on like its style and the vibes, which I'm very much a vibe viewer as far as like I kind of just like am I enjoying it? Am I finding something to attach myself? And with Mandy, it's more one. I feel like the story in Mandy is pretty simple to understand, like as a revenge story, and I'm a big fan of revenge stories.
Me
like,
too.
I love just to like somebody who is not a good person, but I empathize because like if I had the power, I would do the same in that situation.
But that said, the actual thing that Nick Cage is getting revenge for doesn't happen until the exact like halfway point in the movie. Like I paused at that moment to go to the bathroom and I saw that it was like 10 seconds off from being the halfway point. And it's like, was it really necessary to spend this much time laying this groundwork when I still don't really even know that much about these characters?
Gotcha. I'd make the argument that like the first half of the movie is getting to see them in their relationship and just getting to see their love and shit. And,
but there's also a lot of cult stuff in that first half.
Yeah, true. Like just making you scared of the cult and stuff.
Yeah.
When I think about the first half, I'm mostly just thinking about I like seeing Red and Mandy like just cuddle in bed and talk about their trauma.
No,
and,
I like those scenes a lot.
Like, you know, I like them both zoning out in front of the TV, eating their TV dinners, looking like fucking psychos.
Yeah.
Because
that stuff I really liked.
I like the idea of just these like two weird metalheads that have gone
live out in the woods.
Yeah, no,
in a really cool like window house.
It's very similar to the lifestyle that me and Courtney hope to be living.
Yeah, absolutely.
In about a year.
But to me, especially in the second half, it almost felt like I've heard this criticism of like Tarantino movies where it's just like, all right, now we're in the second half, things are going to get bloody, and I can kind of already see everything that's going to happen like from now until the end of the movie, and it now just kind of I'm just kind of like going through the motions watching it.
Predictability is an element to that, but yeah, I feel like I'm hearing a lot of similar I don't want to say complaints because it's valid. Well, I feel like there's more like I feel like I'm hearing similar problems that you found with Mandy that we've talked about that you disliked in Saltburn, in terms of like the style kind of being like too much.
Yeah, to what really ends up being a kind of shallow and simple story.
Yeah, I get
that's
you.
Being overly dramatized when it's like the Peter Griffin. It insists upon itself.
It insists upon itself, Lois. It insists.
That said, you should watch Ted K.
Didn't like The Godfather. Didn't care for it.
Ted K seems like it's going to be a really dry movie, but it has like almost the exact same tone as Mandy, which is interesting.
Gotcha.
At points.
What do you think of? I feel I'm just thinking about a lot of. I'm a big fan of. I think the thing is, I just have to like the style. I think is what it is. Like I have to like be attracted because the director that I mentioned before that like I'm aware technically is like a very proficient filmmaker, but I just don't like his style, and he makes simple like Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Like Wes.
But I can understand that completely.
Yeah, are you a Wes Anderson fan at all?
Not really.
No.
No.
What don't you like about his movies?
Well, for one, I just haven't seen very many, but
Mhm.
the ones I have seen, I just thought were kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I think that he uses a style as a crutch.
Yeah.
And it feels from what I've seen from his other movies, it just feels like he's done is like leaned into that style to the point where like that's the main reason people are showing up to see them. Like I saw I Love Dogs, and I thought it was kind of the same as this, where it's just like this is
the same as Mandy.
Yeah, this is just Mandy again. No,
what a crossover.
Where it's like, yeah, I really like a movie with a strong sense of style, but like I also like a really strong and complex story. I don't know. I need both.
With some good twists. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's fair.
Like Inglourious Bastards is a really good cross section of that for me.
You need the complex story to justify like its weirdness.
Yeah, I like
I
both.
get what you're saying. Like
I can't, because like honestly, like there's only so much like, wow, that looks cool. Wow, that looks cool. That looks cool. Before I'd be like, why aren't I just watching like music videos?
Gotcha. So yeah, something. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Something like Old Boy is really good at.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird enough. Like the story takes you on many twists and turns for you to like be able to absorb yourself in the weirdness.
Like Django Unchained is a really good revenge story that has a really strong visual style. I fucking love Django Unchained.
Yeah.
And you know, I know that Mandy is like kind of visual style cranked up to 11. And that was I think that's my main problem with it. I think it's a better movie than most, but it's still, I think style over substance is the main crux of my critique.
Mandy.
Yeah. That said, watch Ted K. It's really good.
Yeah.
Not enough people have seen it. And it's
Yeah.
got a really, you wouldn't think it has as strong of a directorial hand as it does, but it does. It starts out with this like super strong synthy score, and it just fills you with like this shining ass dread of this real horrible shit that happened.
Hell yeah. This conversation is making me really excited. We're definitely gonna do. We need to do like a Tenet like 10-part like series, because I feel like Tenet for me is the pinnacle of like a vibe movie. Or maybe it's to the point where it's like it's so complicated that I just have to rely on the vibes, because like there's just so much.
It's such a hard concept to understand, and I've heard that levied as like a critique against the movie before, of just like I'm just spending the whole movie trying to fucking comprehend.
Yeah.
The main point, the USP.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's the concept necessarily, because like the concept is just shit goes backwards in time.
I still don't get it. Well, it's not just that shit goes backwards. It's that like there are two timelines that are just passing by each other at all times.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to because I don't live in the fourth dimension. It's hard for me to understand that.
No, that's fair. There's a dumb brain version of this. We've talked about this.
Absolutely.
There's a dumb brain version of like of the movie where there's a man running around with a gun that catches bullets.
Yeah.
That just pulls that reverses bullets into his gun. Or,
like on paper I understand the conceit of this movie, but my brain does not grasp it.
John Bullet Catcher, the Tenet Trials, fucking episode -1.
He's wearing like a black tank top, and he's like, we have to get back in time.
Yeah. It's a fucking, that'd be so good. Like a fucking like early 90s. Who's the OG, the old Dune guy?
David Lynch?
Yeah, David Lynch.
I don't. You want him to direct an action movie?
A Tenet time travel reverse.
That'd be batshit.
It'd be insane. I'd love it.
Give us your Eraserhead take on Tenet, David Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Mandy for 15 minutes. It's its own episode.
Mandy.
Yeah.
You got my opinion on Mandy.
So a movie.
You got LC's. He likes it a lot.
I do like Mandy a lot. I fucking I love the performances. I love a revenge story.
Yep.
Another movie I kind of think about in a similar realm to Mandy. A movie that I do love, but I don't love its sequels. I love the first John Wick.
Yeah.
It's like John Wick 1 is great, and it's a very simple story.
Yeah.
And it's
got a good revenge story.
It's like got a lot of really, and I love the style of it. I love the feel of it.
Yeah.
You know, it almost like kind of goes in the opposite direction for me with the later movies, because they kind of just get too complex for their own good.
I haven't seen any but the first one.
And in my opinion, they just get worse.
Okay. They usually do.
Yeah.
With movies. Isn't that weird? Games always get better and movies get worse.
Yeah. Well, I feel like
with every sequel.
It used to be a pattern where sequels were the best of movies, like Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Or
that's one.
Terminator 2. Judgment
Okay,
Day.
yeah.
Well, I think it's a thing where it's like movies. If there's a movie where it's like the first film in a franchise is good, but you can see that it has there's more potential there to be struck.
Yeah.
And then the sequel usually takes that potential, takes the lessons learned from the first one, and takes it to the next level. Or alternatively, if you have a first movie that is just lightning in a bottle, that
Ghostbusters.
that you just like nailed it on the head the perfect time, then like everything else is just gonna feel like an inferior version.
Yeah, and I think that's most sequels all throughout history.
Yeah, and I feel like with video games,
it's like, oh, we could still make money if we just make this movie again.
Yeah, we'll just keep making it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like with video games, it has like an like that form of art. Sorry, just reading that. It has the advantage of technologies evolving and the capabilities.
Iteration, and you get, and I think games are just so complex that that all these different systems, you can get people's feedback on how they work and how you actually work with them, and it's less subjective and more just actual quality of life stuff that you can improve.
Yeah, like there are only so many ways the audience, a movie-going audience, can interact with a movie beyond, or like we just watch it.
I think like, movies are just generally way more way more subjective than games.
Yeah,
like I think shared experience on games, and specifically people who like certain genres, there are some things that are just better.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's talk about Seven Samurai.
Oh yeah,
the movie So
you guys ever seen The Ridiculous Six? It's basically the same movie.
The Ridiculous Six.
You guys ever seen A Bug's Life?
You ever seen The Fantastic Four?
If you've seen A Bug's Life, you've basically seen this movie.
Yeah, so there's no need to just go watch A Bug's Life.
And if you haven't seen A Bug's Life, just watch Ants. It has nothing to do with Seven Samurai, but Ants is pretty good.
So Seven Samurai is a 1954 Japanese epic samurai action film co-written, edited, and directed by Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa is a legendary Japanese filmmaker.
Never heard of him?
Never heard of him at all. He's made not just a bunch of samurai movies, he's made other kinds of movies as well. The only movies...
Ran.
Yeah.
Bran.
So I've seen... The movies I've seen from him, I'm pretty sure, are just Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, and Sanjuro.
Yojimbo
and Sanjuro are... Sanjuro is a sequel to Yojimbo. They both star the legendary Toshiro Mifune, who...
Favorite.
The more and more I see from him, he's just become one of my favorite actors.
He's very good.
Like ever. He's really good in Seven Samurai, but we'll get into that. And he's the main character in Yojimbo and Sanjuro. He's the main dude. He's the main samurai man, and he's also the main character in a lot of Akira Kurosawa's other movies. Which, for example,
his muse.
Yeah, for example, Akira Kurosawa did a couple of movies that are adaptations of Shakespeare works, and the movie Throne of Blood is an adaptation of Macbeth, starring Toshiro Mifune.
Nerd.
As that version of which the characters have different names. Like, he's not Macbeth. He's Taketoki.
They're speaking Japanese, but they're calling each other Macbeth and Lady Macbeth.
Yeah. Domorigato. Macbeth.
Lady Macbeth.
Yeah. Legendary filmmaker. This movie, I think, I want to say is his second film.
Yeah.
Or I need to go to. Or actually, no, he made Ikaru came before this. It was relatively early in his filmmaking career. It came out before Yojimbo and Sanjuro, so
yeah,
early on for
it feels early.
Mifune, and you can even just like see from the fact that like Yojimbo and Sanjuro are both in widescreen.
Yeah,
like
it's very interesting that an epic like this was in 4:3.
Yeah, I've got some thoughts on that too. But yeah, I don't think, when did CinemaScope get invented? When was it?
I feel
the 60s?
like, well, I mean, if you watch Wizard of Oz, it's not in 4:3.
That's true.
Neither is like Casablanca or.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it might have been. This is a Japanese film. I don't know what availability was back
Yeah,
then.
maybe they just didn't have the resources to, or maybe it was. It seems like all this movie was. It seems like most of this movie was shot on like location.
Yes.
So maybe it was just more inexpensive to shoot on.
Or maybe it was an art house decision
Maybe.
to get those beautiful frame within frame shots.
Yeah. While I look up why they chose to film in 4:3, Joseph, you tell me. This was the first time you'd seen it. Tell me your experience with what you've known about Seven Samurai, like what you heard over the years.
Well, I knew the basic. I knew that Magnificent Seven and Bug's Life and was it Three Amigos. All these other movies were based on Seven Samurai. I knew the basic story of a group of tough guys band together to help protect a village of poor peasants being terrorized by a gang of outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, I wasn't expecting it to be as long as it is. It's about 3.5 hours with an intermission.
Oh yeah, it's long as fuck.
Yeah, but if I'd known that going in, I think I would have become a little less antsy. Because once I knew that we have like another 2 hours left in this movie, I was like, oh okay, so it's like settle in. It's like a slower burn than you think.
Yeah, it's like okay, we're in for the long haul.
Yeah, exactly. It's no, but it's great. It's this is like probably, I think one of the things that stuck out to me the most is how absolutely fucking brutal it is.
Yeah, no, it's fucking harsh, especially
like this movie.
end.
It doesn't even like. It shows multiple times like just a gang of guys just stabbing a dude to death, and it doesn't even expect you to like react to that aside from like, oh good,
thank God,
oh good, that guy's dead. It is crazy how little this movie regards human life.
Yeah, people just get trampled. Like people get over. Like, most people who die in this movie get killed just by being swarmed by a bunch of motherfucking
and get
spears.
Stabbed with like pointy sticks. It's awful, but I mean, like it's definitely it's like this movie. It's such a like you can tell we have not become desensitized in modern day to violence.
Yeah.
It's always been like this.
Yeah, for the most part. the only reason why like this movie, like the violence might seem more tame is just because they didn't have the like the effects.
There wasn't any blood.
Yeah, there wasn't any blood, but that was mostly just due to the fact that like squibs weren't really a thing.
Yeah,
and like they just didn't really have like the VFX knowledge.
And most of the time that doesn't matter in this movie. Like you it's all pretty implied, and you can like you still like wince a little bit when you see someone get stabbed. But there are a couple times when a guy just kind of gets poked a little bit with a spear,
like,
and it's like, oh, he died from that. That went in like an inch.
Yeah. But most of the stuntmen are very good at like reacting and dying properly. But also, I mean, a lot of it comes from like the physicality of it too. Just because like.
Kurosawa is a very kinetic director. Everyone is fucking running in this movie at all times.
Yeah, everyone's running. Everyone's really stressed. Everyone's tense.
Sped up
like,
running is a lot of this movie's runtime.
Like when people are chasing or fighting each other, it's just a series of limbs flailing everywhere, and like everything is also just so like is just so fucking dirty.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the end to be as like grueling as it is.
Yeah, and a big part of that too is because the final
showdown
big battle of this movie takes place in the rain.
Yeah,
in this like muddy
everywhere
village, and it does just look really
no
nasty.
It's like a real like it feels like a real brutal war, and like people are dying. There's like a lot more loss in this movie than you'd think. Like a lot more people die like on the protagonist's side.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't
spoiler alert, this movie came out 70 years ago, all right?
Yeah, spoiler alert for this ancient movie. There is less than 7 samurai by the end.
Unless you are this movie came out before you were born, unless you're fucking like in a like nursing home right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about let's just hop into the story a little bit.
Yeah.
So the movie starts off, it's 1586. And we're in ancient Japan. We're in Japan, the Sengoku period in Japanese history. And basically there's this there's this village of farmers who every year these bandits and raiders come and take all their food and like pillage the town.
The
and
grasshoppers, right?
Yeah. Do they have a name?
No, I was thinking the grasshoppers in A Bug's Life.
Oh, yeah. The grasshoppers come and take all the ant shit.
It's the same thing. They come and take the food.
Same fucking movie.
This village is starving because they all
Yeah.
eat is millet.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I think it's like the stalk part of grain or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
Don't quote me on that.
It's
It's gross is the point of the movie.
It's
though.
nasty. The only food that they have is nasty. So they some of the guys in the village, they go talk to the old man who
The old man.
who
That's
is-
his name, by the way.
His name is the old man. It's capitalized in the subtitles.
Gary the old man.
Yeah, we have to go see the old man who's like the leader of the village, and basically they kind of hatch a scheme to like, okay, we're gonna go hire they hire some samurai, which the old man advised them like hire like about 4 to come and defend us from the bandits
Yep.
and kill the bandits. So some of the men from the village go out to like, I believe just like the next biggest town.
By the way, this movie is very critical of all people. Like,
Yeah.
not like samurai and just poor farmers.
Everyone,
This movie thinks everyone's just a piece of shit at heart.
no, the assumption is like humanity, we're all flawed. We're only gonna
Yeah.
do things as long as we get something in return.
Yes.
Um,
And that's like a recurring theme, and it's never really resolved. It's just like,
Yeah.
this is something you need to accept as fact.
Well, I think a part of it might be the historical context in that samurai. So we kind of have in our modern day, kind of like American perspective, when we think of samurais, we think of like these really like noble, like really kind of like these like stoic warriors, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, samurai was just like they're a class of people that like they're a class of people where their purpose is to protect they're kind of like cops.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Basically.
they're like hired muscle for
Yeah.
the lord of a specific plot of land and all the people who live there.
Exactly.
Like, they police those people.
Yeah, they're more like
And they also protect them from like outside threats, or supposedly are supposed to.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, they're supposed to be like these really noble thing, but like any kind of like group of people that like have some like power, some kind of like
Yeah.
you know, like they abuse it and like they you know, they can
I'm not very well versed in my Japanese history. I don't know how often samurais were corrupt, but
No, I mean,
it happened.
It's all good. It's fair, especially for in this time period where like a lot of samurais in this time period were ronin, so they they didn't have lords because either
Or
they're
like guns for hire, essentially.
yeah, exactly, just like roaming around, just being like all
Roman Ronin.
yeah, Roman ronins. And basically, because like when they go to this town, it just seems like there's samurais everywhere.
Yeah. No, they're just passing through this town all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All constant samurai flow.
Exactly. And they try to hire some samurai, but they pretty much all get like all the samurai they try to talk to pretty much spit in their face.
They
like
say, "Fuck you! I'm not working for a peasant.
yeah, like one because they're just so low cost.
Why would I do that?"
Yeah. But also just because like they basically can't pay them.
Yeah.
Like we can feed you, and that's also that's a
And
struggle.
barely.
Even by,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a struggle even
Yeah,
by
because
itself.
they're like, we're giving you rice while we eat millet,
yeah,
whatever that is.
yeah, and then pretty soon we meet our first samurai,
Mm-hmm.
who I forget the character's name, but he's the bald one.
Yoda.
He's the oldest one, Yoda. The character's name is Kanbei Shimada,
Cool.
played by Takashi Shimura, who also shows up in other Kurosawa. He's like a bad guy in one of the Yojimbo movies.
I think he's my favorite character in this movie.
He's your favorite
And
of all
that's
of them.
saying something because there are a billion characters in this movie.
There are lots and lots and lots of characters.
Oh my god, there's so many.
I feel like this time around, just because watching it all in the same setting, I got a much better sense for like being able to distinctly remember like okay, that's this samurai
Yeah.
in the group, and like they all feel very distinct, and they all feel like they have their purpose and their
Like 7 main characters is enough, but then you throw in all
lot
the
of
villagers.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's to the movie's credit, I was never like confused as to who was who and like what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an epic in like both like scope and length.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
That's fair. But no, our main samurai man, who's the older samurai, the first time you see him, he's shaving. He cuts off his
is
top.
very mysterious.
Yeah, and you don't really know what's going on.
He saws off his top knot and he's shaving his head, and you're like, why? And the whole village is standing there just watching him do it.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And
Yeah.
then it's revealed they're like, oh yeah, in that barn over there, a thief kidnapped a kid and is holding him hostage.
And it's like, okay, so like, why is he shaving his head?
Yeah, why is the samurai doing it? And the samurai said he'd help. And he disguises himself as a monk.
Yep.
And comes up to the door pretending to be like, hey, like I'm a monk.
I'm here to just feed both of you. And he uses deception.
He rolls for deception.
As soon as the guy drops his guard, he rushes in there and fucking slaughters him.
Yeah, fucking like slices his ass up.
So cool.
And it's a really great moment. And the mother comes in, grabs her child, and is like really like relieved, and like the guy is dead. And the men from the village are all just like watching this happen.
Yeah.
And immediately they're like, we gotta hire that guy.
Yeah, that's the guy.
And a few other,
because for one, he actually helped us.
Yeah.
Which none of the other guys have done.
Yeah. He doesn't seem like a dick.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to him. And also, if you're going to mention two of the other samurai in this movie,
just one little guy.
We're watching this go down. The youngest samurai, I don't remember his name, but he's the one who's fucking.
Little fella. Yeah, he's the guy who fucks.
He's the guy who fucks.
He is the one who fucks.
Later on in the movie. And then my favorite character, and Kyuchio, I think, Kikuchio, I think is the character. Toshiro Mifune's character.
Might not even be his real name.
Who that's not his character's real name.
Yeah.
Because
he stole his family tree.
He stole
probably stole his sword. He's not a real samurai.
100%. And it's revealed pretty much later that like he was born a farmer,
which is why he's the coolest character.
100%. He's just the most badass.
He took the mantle of being a samurai.
Yeah, and like throughout the entire movie, like he gains the respect of the other samurai to like get a proper. It's so cool.
It is so cool because like everyone else, all the other samurai dress like a samurai. They hold themselves like a samurai. Like they're in control of their emotions at all time. And this guy's like losing his shit. Like he shows like it's such a good way of showing like of playing with like the expectations, because he's always like losing his shit. He's got a really short temper. He's making jokes, and he carries his katana like
he's getting drunk as fuck. Oh yeah,
he carries his katana over his shoulder all the time.
It's huge.
Oh my god!
Because it's this giant sword.
It's
that's
such
like,
a cool idea for a character.
Yeah, like he's never holding it normally. It can't fit on his side.
Yeah, and also his ass is out for like the whole movie.
Yeah, he's like barely wearing any clothes for like the last half of this movie.
And the whole like, and when they're actually fighting the bandits, he's just not wearing pants.
Yeah,
and his butt cheeks are out for all to see.
But he's still badass.
Yeah, that somehow makes him more badass.
Yeah,
because you can see his ass.
Exactly, he's just fully exposed.
His bad ass.
Yeah, no. So then basically, they hire him, and
you like that actor a lot. I think
Toshiro Mifune. Yeah, no. Toshiro Mifune is a great actor. I mean, like I said, he's Kurosawa's muse. Been a lot of them. In Yojimbo and Sanjuro, I definitely like to rewatch those movies, but I kind of want to explore. I don't want to say that I was let down by them, but they're not. How do I put it? They're not like super action heavy.
Yeah.
As far as like they're a lot more about like basically the character in the movie is like he doesn't have a name, but like he chooses the fake name Sanjuro, and he's throughout both movies he's basically trying to like outwit the bad guys.
Yeah. Like
in the first movie, his whole thing is like so briefly with Yojimbo, the plot of Yojimbo is like, so Yojimbo is Japanese for bodyguard.
Okay.
The word. And basically he rolls into this town where there are these two rival gangs that are like kind of destroying the town like in war. And he goes to the leader of each gang and is like, hey, I'm a samurai, hire me as your bodyguard. He goes to the leaders of both group, and he basically like tricks each of them through various things to like destroy each other throughout the movie. And like it's more of a mind game where like he's using his wits to kind of trick everyone. It's not nearly as much about the whereas like this movie is more a straight up war. Like it's a physical conflict.
It's like a political thriller almost.
Yeah, no, it's like a lot more of like I feel like Yojimbo and Sanjo are both more like crime political thriller type movies, and they're really good. They just weren't what I was expecting going into them.
Understand.
But he's been in a bunch of other samurai movies, and more like he's in Sword of Doom actually, which I need to rewatch it because I saw Sword of Doom way before I watched all these movies, and now I need to go back because Sword of Doom is kind of a deconstruction of these movies.
Cool.
We definitely got to do a Sword of Doom episode.
Absolutely.
We're gonna. But anyway, yeah, no. I just really love his. He just like has the thing that I think it's, and I don't want to say this just in terms of like Asian actors, but like we were kind of like when we were watching the Bruce Lee movies and the Jackie Chan movies, as far as like there's this kind of like stoic, like just this presence that he has that I feel like is just like ascended over everybody else in these movies. Like you can just see
he stands out the second he's on screen. The first time you're like, oh, that guy's the main character.
Because
he's the only guy with a beard. And he's just got an actor face as opposed to like everyone else.
Exactly. A lot of it probably is just like his face, but also just his presence. Like especially he's just so good. But anyway,
can I point out the bald caps in this movie are very distracting.
Are very noticeable.
Yes, extremely. And I understand that it was 1950 something. And I also understand that you had to provide probably like 500 bald caps for everybody. And they're not all going to look good, but like, and yeah, I kind of forgot about them after a while, but then it like came back and I was like, oh my God, that does not look good.
I think a lot of it is because most of the villagers have that exact haircut.
Yeah.
Too.
But you can see like the band on their forehead, and like the top of their head is just a completely different color than like their face.
Yeah.
And I think it's extra noticeable because it's black and white.
Mm-hmm. That's true. If it was in color, you wouldn't be paying as much attention to the texture of it. That's a good point.
Yeah. But anyway, I just needed to point that out because it was a good portion of what I was thinking of when I was watching this movie.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, basically, at this point we have basically two samurai, where it's the old samurai Kembe and the young samurai who wants to be he's really eager to be this person's student, this like samurai, like he wants a new master, and
it's like groveling at his feet.
Pretty much, yeah. He's just like really eager and like super young and like wants to be on all these adventures, and Kembe's basically trying to like tell him like, hey, you got you got plenty of time to go through all this adventure, like don't waste your youth, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they have like he's very much the kid of the group.
Yes.
He's probably, of all the samurai, maybe like my least favorite, the one I'm
really?
least invested in. The young one.
I think that two of the guys for me were just like interchangeable, and I don't think he was one of them.
the one who's chopping wood.
Yeah.
And the one who
they occupied the same space in my brain.
Yeah, and the one who was Kembe's old friend.
Yeah. I kind of forgot who was like they were both just kind of the same character for me.
That's fair. They were both kind of just like good old boy.
Yeah, just
guys.
like kind of nice, like professional samurai. Because like by being a samurai, like an actual like seasoned one, you're gonna tend to not have like a lot of personality, just because like your training.
Gotcha.
It's all about like suppress your emotions, which is what makes when they do show emotion so interesting.
That's fair. I think I just like wasn't a huge fan of the music has stopped. I think I just wasn't a huge fan of like the kind
love story.
Yeah, it was just like kind of like really melodramatic and like a little bit like, I don't know, like a little bit over the top, like this forbidden love. I'm a farmer.
Yeah, I can
You're
see
a
that
samurai.
for
sure. I don't necessarily think it was terribly executed. There was other plot lines and other characters I was significantly more interested in.
It didn't feel super necessary.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's there though.
Yeah.
I think it could have been a little less like melodrama.
I think that this movie's already long enough. Like I feel like if you were gonna cut anything, which I don't really think, which with the 7 main characters that you're really trying to flesh out, I understand why it's this long. But if you were gonna cut anything or cut any character story down, for me it would be that love story.
Yeah, because I mean that character already has an arc of like maturing and like learning what it means to like be a real like hero and like a real samurai. So yeah, it does feel like a little more like fluff.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really even like support the main story. Like it just kind of is like so as a summary for that subplot, that the girl that this guy falls in love with is the daughter of one of the townspeople that cuts her hair forcibly and makes her act like a man so she doesn't get targeted by the bandits.
Yeah, her dad, because actually not to be targeted from the samurai.
That too, yeah.
Because everyone in the village is like scared of like, oh, our daughters are gonna go samurai crazy.
Yeah,
like
and then he loses it and does that, and then she and this youngest samurai end up falling in love. And when they have sex, her dad
catches them,
blows up, and beats the shit out of her, and says like now she's like spoiled goods or whatever, and then they just have like a conversation like, well, no, what's wrong with two people being in love, and like,
what's wrong with that? They're young,
and
you
it's
don't
like, what
being young?
What does any of this have to do with the rest of the movie?
It does feel like very kind of separate from everything else going on.
It doesn't match up.
Yeah.
It's just like, is this the moral of the story? Is like it's okay for women to have sex? Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
I feel like a lot of like what all the other characters have going on with them, or I'm thinking about like Toshiro Mifune's character. All of the things that come out about him are very reactionary from like what's going on in the town.
Yes.
Like from the conflict, like when like he has his whole big, which my favorite scene in the movie honestly is like when he has his whole big speech about how awful farmers are and why samurais are the reason why.
It's like one of those rants where someone's like kind of working through shit in their own head, because he starts out by talking about how much he hates farmers. He hates farmers. Like, and of course I hate farmers because they like they don't do anything unless it's for themselves, and they like hide resources from you, and then they'll like kill like the losers of fights and take all their stuff. And I hate samurai. Like, who? Of course they're like that because the samurai make them like that. I hate it's like it's like he's just working through stuff out loud and just making himself angrier. It's a very good scene.
Exactly. I love just how the other samurai give him his space to be weird.
Yeah.
As far as like they're not annoyed by him.
Yeah, they poke fun at him a lot.
Yeah. They make fun
because he's not a real samurai.
Yeah, but like he really just shows like how brave he is and how like committed to the cause he is, and like, you know,
and at the end of it they give him full samurai honor.
Exactly. And it's
which is like he earned it, which is like a really cool, and that's why it's 7 samurai and not 6 samurai and a guy that followed them around
and a farmer with a sword. Yeah, facts. But yeah, no, so basically, we collect the 7. There's a fun little thing that goes on with some of the samurai that collect, where like they have the young samurai standing by the door of the barn they're staying in with a stick, like testing the new samurai again to see if they can deflect it or whatever.
Yeah, he when the master invites wants to like invite one of the samurai in to like talk to them. He gets the young guy to stand by the side of the door on the inside with a stick, ready to hit him on the head when they walk in. And if they deflect it, then they pass the test. Yeah. But it's also like, what if they don't? You're just going to hit a guy with a stick.
You're just going to have a pissed off guy. Like, what if you hurt him?
And he gets pissed off either way. Like, the young guy gets thrown like a couple times.
It's a lose-lose. Although the young guy really enjoys it. You see him eager to do it.
He does really want to try to hit those guys with a stick.
Yeah, he seems eager to do it when he does it to Toshiro Mifune.
Which is interesting.
But basically, we collect more of our samurai. The most interesting one left is probably the badass one who... Serious Kyuzo.
I think he might be one of my favorites. Like, he's not my favorite character, but like he's, in terms of like, you watch a movie and you're like, that guy's fucking badass.
He's the Yakuza guy from Predator.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
He's just the cool, because like he's doing a standoff fight with some guy. Like at first it seems like it's like a betting thing. Yeah, where he's fighting dude with like kendo with practice swords, with like wooden swords,
and he beats him, and then the guy's like, let's use real swords, and he grabs his real sword, and he's like, you don't want to do that,
like you don't want to, I'm gonna kill you, bro, like I'm warning you now. And he's so calm about it,
and he just fucking kills, he just does the one strike kill. Like, it's like chess game. It's like he is the cool, like the peak idea of like what you think of like when you think of a samurai.
Absolutely. Yeah, like he's like the most,
and you know the least about him of like any character.
Yeah, he doesn't have an arc really.
He's just a guy doing his job. Like, he is like the peak, like he doesn't show emotion. He's super like reserved. He says only what he needs to say, and he's also just a good guy in general.
He's the Samurai Jack character.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And he's like at one point, he just offers to just go kill all the bandits himself because they're in his territory.
And he would have done it.
He's just like, yeah, I could just go kill them myself. I could just go kill like 20 of those guys.
Yeah.
And he probably could.
It does suck that he's one of the ones that die.
It does. You heard me go like, no,
not him.
Yeah.
But he's very cool, and he joins the squad. He's kind of scary looking though. He's kind of got a skeleton face.
He's got that little Willem Dafoe look.
Yeah.
Like he's a little creepy.
He's kind of gaunt, but he's a bad motherfucker.
He's cool as hell.
Yeah. And then I love how
he goes off to get the guns.
Yeah. He just like
he's like, they have muskets. I'll just go get them. And then he just goes and he just comes back with the musket.
Runs off in the woods. And we were saying that it's exactly like the scene in Mad Max Fury Road.
I'll get the gas. Don't worry.
Yeah. You just see him like walk off with like a couple of guns, and then you see explosions, and then he comes back covered in blood.
Yep.
So fucking metal.
So fucking cool.
But yeah, no, and then at this point we're 6 samurai, and then Toshiro Mifune, who's kind of been like following them around the whole time, and they're kind of ignoring him, shows up.
Yeah.
And he's drunk as fuck.
Yes.
He is fucking
like about to throw up.
Wasted.
Yeah.
And like
sake.
He's just like floating around this scene, and like his eyes like are so sunken in, and like he's just so sweaty.
He gets hit in the head with a stick.
He gets hit with the stick.
And gets very pissed off.
He gets very angry, and then the young samurai takes his sword and he like chases him around the barn.
Yeah.
And it's a really funny scene.
It is a funny scene, and like he's trying to convince them that no, I am a samurai. Here, I have my family tree on this scroll. And he pulls it out, and then they look at it, and they're like, "I don't think you're not 13
years old. Like there's my name right there." He points at it, and it
says the year he was born. He's like, "You're not
13.
You don't look 13, dude."
Yeah, it's a fake.
So it's not his real name. It's not his real history. He's not a real samurai. He was born a farmer, but he's just like, no, I like, why can't I just be a samurai?
Yeah.
And he is, and he ends up a samurai, and that's his arc.
Yeah.
He quits faking, and he actually becomes one. It's
really cool. Like the first like thing that he does to like make them accept him, has to do with when they roll up to the village. At this point, they roll up to the village, and all the villagers are staying inside their houses.
They don't come out to greet them or anything
because they're afraid of them.
Yep.
Because they're like, oh, these samurais are gonna violate our women, and they're gonna.
Women love samurai. Keep them away.
Or like worry that they're gonna attack them or whatever.
Yeah.
So then basically, Toshiro Mifune
rings the alarm bell that bandits are coming.
And everyone runs out and is freaking out, and it's cool that you do.
Like, oh, look who's here.
Yeah. It's cool that you get to see this evolution of like at the beginning, all these villagers are just so frightened. They're like just these frightened little people.
And then they do their Mulan training montage.
Exactly. And the samurai just turn them into a fucking army.
Yep.
And like everybody, it's not just the samurai by the end that are like participating in this war.
Yeah. And it's not like cutesy either. Like it's an actual like war. Like it's not like some like Ernest Goes to Camp shit where it's like they're like home aloneing them and like tripping them and stuff. They're just ganging up on these people and just stabbing them to death.
Yeah, just like we're letting them in one horse.
And we're like,
time.
good. That's another circle we can cross out.
Yeah, they have like the big pen.
They have paper with they have a circle for every bandit that they know exists, and they cross one out for everyone that dies.
Yeah.
It's like a good indicator of like where we are in the battle. It's very smart.
I really like the 7 samurai flag that gets made.
Yeah.
That's like it's 6 circles and 1 triangle. And he's like, well, which one's and Kuchi is like, which one's me?
Yeah.
He's like, you're the triangle.
You're the triangle. So you're not samurai.
You're not a samurai. Yeah, no, they're constantly picking on him throughout. But basically, yeah, he gets all the villagers to come out, and then he gives them all shit for like being like, oh, the samurai is scary. You guys would have been fucked if, this is a real situation. And then that's the first thing that, Kembe goes like, okay, it looks like we do have 7 samurai. It's like, it's the first, like, thing that he gains the trust on. Yeah, no, and...
we go up to 7, and then we come back down from 7.
Yeah, and at this point in the movie, I want to ask, So we talked. I want to talk a little bit about. So far, we have all of our samurai and stuff. What do you think about like the costumes and the production design and like the overall look of this movie?
It's gorgeous. Yeah, I like the
Sorry.
the shots of nature. There's a lot of shots that are really, really impressive. Like there's one shot where some buildings in the background are just actually on fire, and they're just having a scene in the foreground while there's just these burning buildings. It blew me away. But no, the costumes are amazing, and they're like tailored to each character to show their personality. Especially during like the battle scenes, like what they wear to battle says a lot about them. Especially
yeah, by the end, especially Toshiro Mifune's character, who he's basically wearing no pants.
Yeah,
and he's got this like scattered armor.
He's got this
on.
it's got this like sash of nakedness over his torso.
Yeah,
he's got this like armor. It's like so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know the overall look of the movie is just perfect. I think no complaints, except I would have liked a wider aspect ratio.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That I was gonna say that was the one thing, and I don't know why. It was definitely available at the time. I just tried to look it up and I couldn't figure out why. Especially because his Kurosawa's later film, Yojimbo and Sanjo are both in widescreen. Like they're both in like the CinemaScope, like the two. I mean,
he makes use of the frame very well. There's a lot of really nice shots of like frames within frames. Like he's like and the way he does lighting and the way he like casts some characters in like broad light and like there's this one shot after that guy is like sort of dishonored, like he's drunk and he's like made a fool of himself. This one samurai is standing and he's like well lit and he's in like this clear square, but this other guy's like behind these bars and it's all dark and you can't really see him, and he's in like this like super dodgy, and it's like this perfect visual of like honor versus dishonor. And there's a lot of shots that are just like this really pretty like frame within frame. There's this one shot of like these when the bandits are rolling down this road and they're on their horses, and all the villagers are like hidden down, and there's like this awning over the screen and like this like ditch under it, so it's like even wider. It's like a way wider screen, like way more narrow, and it emphasizes like the sideways motion. It makes it feel way more dramatic. Like he made use of the frame really well.
Yeah, no, he definitely can. And there was a lot of good, and like a lot of certain scenes, like especially towards the end of this movie, there's kind of a sense of claustrophobia that they want you to have as far as like when they're capturing the bandits in these villages. There's just like dozens and dozens of people all fighting and trying to get in
all around.
I think the more square frame definitely helps capture that like clustered, like you're just stuck in a kill box kind of feeling.
Scary.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like a wide screen for this movie would have captured like some of the like for lack of a better word, like some of the epicness. Yeah. Like especially like in the middle parts of the movie, like when we're out in nature and like there are some of the kind of like the more wider landscape like especially some like early on wider landscape shots, like in like I feel like this the scene where we get introduced to the Kyuzo, the badass samurai, like so like when his first fight, where it's just him like dueling the other guy, would have looked great in widescreen. And I know for a fact because Sword of Doom, Yojimbo, Sanjuro, all the exact way you think, like in your head of like how badass it looks. As far as like I think that westerns and samurai movies, I think widescrreen like really adds to it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I mean I don't think it super takes away from this movie. No. It's utilized well.
Yeah,
but
and he uses it well. It just feels it feels like an epic of this length and scale. I think it would have benefited from a wider screen.
Yeah. Funnily enough, a lot of it made me think of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Which, did you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League?
No.
It's in 4:3.
Yeah, I know. It's in black and white too, isn't it?
There's a black and white version.
No thanks, dude.
It's
You thought this movie sucked? Well, what if
The black and white version is called on HBO Max Zack Snyder's Justice League, Justice is Gray.
Oh. I'm so glad he's not making them anymore.
But I mean, as far as like a lot of his argument for why he wanted 4x3 for that movie was because, and this is something I actually think
I'm interested to hear this because it makes no sense to me.
He always felt that like superhero movies with a widescreen aspect ratio made the characters feel very small within the frame. As far as like if you want to get a full body shot, you have to zoom out and make them feel small. Whereas like you can have the characters really fill up the screen more with a more narrow aspect ratio.
Okay.
And I feel like
I don't really agree.
yeah, it was like it's a whole different thing, but
especially because this. I mean, like, it's because most people are going to be watching that on a TV.
mm-hmm.
They're going to be the same size.
Yeah. There's an argument that could be made for like a theatrical experience, but like
yeah,
I feel like I was thinking about that while watching Seven Samurai, especially on your big ass TV.
Yeah.
It does make me kind of appreciate like the costuming and like really kind of seeing all the visual distinct differences between the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's definitely a universe where I would have liked to have seen this in widescreen. I think another thing that maybe some of those other movies I mentioned do is that like they're both pretty much about one samurai.
Yeah.
As opposed to like it being a bigger ensemble.
Yeah.
Like they're smaller scale films.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I can kind of understand that justification.
Yeah.
I'm still never seeing any version of Justice League.
of just this is Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut is definitely better. But you know what's funny? When I first watched this, I made the mistake of here's the thing. I wouldn't have watched it if it didn't come out during like peak COVID. Because I had like nothing else to do. So I'm like, I got infinite time. But I rewatched I wanted to compare and contrast. I rewatched the original version of Justice League.
Yeah.
The Whedon cut. Before I watched the Snyder cut.
The I Tried cut.
Yeah. And it was a big mistake because here's the thing. The Snyder cut is definitely the better version of that movie.
If you say so.
Like it's like just way more balanced in every way, and like there are a lot of things that are better about it.
Is it a good movie?
No.
Okay. never watching it.
One version's a turd, and one is a turd with a little shine on it.
It's got some Goldschlager in there.
One's a turd that's been hit with some disinfectant spray. I made the reason why that was mainly a mistake is because it is literally the same story.
Yeah.
As far as like
that's what I'm saying. It's like you're not gonna fix a shitty movie by doing like a director's cut.
The same events happen, but
exactly
one is just like the execution of all of the post, and that's the thing too.
Director's cuts work in making good movies, like just having like an alternate like Blade Runner or like Apocalypse Now. Those make sense to have a director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
Having like a shitty superhero movie, giving it like that just makes no sense to me. Like it's not gonna make it like a good movie.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But back to Seven Samurai.
Oh yeah,
a cooler team.
Basically the Justice League.
Basically this basically is the first like Avengers like team up league. We were talking about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah,
like a squad going to do a mission. Like this is the first of that.
That's the most like modern pilled. This is like the first cinematic universe. Honestly, like Citizen Kane is basically Iron Man if you really think about it.
Universal Monsters was like the MCU before the MCU.
Yeah, no, it stands up. It holds up.
For sure. But yeah, I'm trying to think where else in the movie. Yeah, so we're in the village. They're training the villagers.
Yeah.
The love story happens. I'm trying to think. I really like the sequence when there are some scouts. There's some like bandit scouts.
Yeah.
That are making their way into the village. And the samurais catch them in like a pretty cool sequence where basically like the badass samurai is using himself as bait.
Yeah.
Like he's sitting next to a tree and he's just playing with some flowers.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember
I love that scene.
I remember the first time and Toshiro Mifune is like up in the tree like waiting for
and the young samurai is just kind of watching
in the bushes.
And you can hear that the scouts are like approaching and he's been given the signal like he's been given the signal that they're coming, and you like, did he know? Does he know that they're coming? Because he's still just sitting and looking at flowers, like he looks like zoned out. And then they show up, and
he pops into action.
This scene is so perfect, like exactly what I wanted. He just stands up. It's like not frantic or panicked. It's so calm, but it's fast. He stands up, and in like 2 strokes of his body, just kills two of these guys, and then he just sheaths his sword, and he's like, "All right."
He's like, "Okay, we're ready to roll."
Yeah,
yeah. He's definitely
so good,
the most skilled. And then they take the hostage back, one of the bandits back, and I love this is just such a cool scene. It's like, so the 7 samurai, they have the bandit like tied up in the middle of the town, and they're all defending him because at the end of the day, like the samurai, they're going to be about honor and the law and code and stuff. The bandit admitted to his crimes, and he wasn't trying to attack. He surrendered, and because of that, like the law is like, well, he deserves, like, he's going to be put on trial. He's a prisoner. Like, we can't just murder him in cold blood. And all the villagers are trying to kill this guy, and the samurai are just like holding everyone back. And I think like upon rewatching it and upon like learning more about this movie, a lot of this movie does really showcase like this divide, you know, and how like just, you know, historically speaking, samurai pretty much just existed to protect rich people and rich people's interests.
Yeah.
And the idea,
and that means keeping poor people in line.
Exactly, keeping them and not letting them like get too crazy, and it's just their natural instinct to like uphold, you know,
the law of the land.
The law of the land. And then eventually, though, like
the village elder, old man,
the old man and the old woman.
Yeah, the old woman whose son was killed by this person. Wants to kill him, and the old man is just like, yeah.
Let her avenge
Let
her
her
son.
do that. Yep, let her avenge her son.
And all the samurai just come back away, like,
because he's he's the elder. He's in charge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very satisfying scene. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck him.
He gets killed by a rake, and it's good.
It was really well done. And then I think around this point, which, by the way, a lot of the events of like the second act, which is like the middle hour of this movie, kind of like they can be in whatever order.
Yeah.
At some point in there,
they all happen, you know.
Yeah. At some point in there, Mifune gets his big speech moment. When like he gets the old samurai armor from the fallen samurai who flowed through before.
Yeah.
Which we talked about that. It's a great moment. Mifune kills it.
You know, they fart around and they train the villagers.
They train the guys. They all hang out.
Yeah.
It's all a good time. And then pretty much
intermission happens
at some point. And then pretty much we start getting into like the bandits properly.
Yeah. It's like, okay, now it's time to like actually like a good third of this movie is just the big battle holding them off. And I wasn't really expecting that. I thought that I didn't really expect it to be like a big multi-day fight.
Yeah, that it was like a multi-tier.
Yeah, it's like it's like a war that they wage.
Yeah.
And it's like brutal too.
Yeah, because like they have a big moat around the village combined with they've like put up like barriers around and the bandits can only really get into the village through like a few specific paths.
Yeah.
And yeah, they only let in like a few bandits at a time, and then they just kind of like overwhelm them. And there's like a variety of casualties throughout. The bandits have muskets.
Yeah,
they have some very primitive guns, and one of the samurai gets killed pretty much at the start of the third act.
Yeah,
like we lose one of them.
Yeah, he gets shot, right?
He gets shot, and it's kind of unexpected.
Yeah, because I didn't even know they had guns.
Yeah, it's 1580s.
They have guns.
They got guns before they got germ theory.
He gets shot with a musket in 1580, dude.
Yeah, fucking nut. Like probably one of the first 100 people to die from a gunshot.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So yeah, and there's a lot of cool sequences within this third act, like we talked about, like the badass samurai going out to get the muskets.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. And then the young samurai is like all like, he's so cool.
Yeah, he
There's-
like gushes over him, like he's a fanboys out over him so hard.
He's talking to Toshiro Mifune about it, and he's like,
yeah, that's so cool, dude.
why don't you marry him?
Yeah,
God.
exactly. That's so cool that you like him so much.
That's so sick. Yeah. Let me see. He's so good in this movie. He's just like he
He's
managed
the comic relief, but he's also a genuinely interesting character.
Yeah, and he's the only character who like
He's like playing with the kids, and he's being all charming with them.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's really good with all the kids, and
He sexually assaults a woman in a field.
yeah, he's really horny throughout this whole fucking
That's
movie.
probably the one part that hasn't aged super well.
Yeah, for sure. There's like a lot of like, yeah, he goes up to the girl like working in the field, and he's like, "Hey, I'll fucking do your work if you fuck me."
He smacks her on the ass, and starts doing work for her.
Yeah, and then he's telling all the kids like, "Hey, any of you got a hot sister?"
That was acceptable back then.
Yeah, no, and it really.
In
But
15 something.
yeah, I feel like in this, I'm not gonna let it slide. But as far as like it, without how unhinged this character is,
Yeah, it makes sense.
he's the only one that behaves that way. Really,
Yeah.
It somewhat makes sense for his character. But also, yeah, you get these like little hints with like him and his backstory. Like he saves, like there's a family that's stuck in a burning building.
Yeah.
And the mom comes out and she's like wounded, but she gives Toshiro Mifune her baby, and he's all like, "This baby is me. This happened to me." You know?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and I said that like, because like we're kind of in the middle of something. Like she hands him the baby, and she collapses like immediately, and then he's like, "This baby is me. I'm the baby," and it reminded me of that part in Tropic Thunder when it's like, yeah, listen guys, this is really good stuff, and I can see you're like really working through some stuff, but can we get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, like we got bigger things to deal with right now.
The dudes are emerging.
Yeah.
Oh,
My Blossom just whined.
that was the pup.
Are you okay, Bubba?
Little pup.
Were you chilling in the clothes?
Yeah.
So to the people at home,
She's vibing.
we're in my apartment in the messy bedroom studio room, and
Made a little bed for herself.
yeah, and a bunch of clothes. I'm really glad this isn't a video podcast. But, well, animated reviews coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So there's, yeah. So we're in these final sequences. The dad beats up the daughter Shino for fucking the young samurai.
No one approves, but
And
no one really cares all that much.
no one approves. Yeah, no, she gets shit on. But then the next morning, the guys laugh off a joke, but it's like, "Oh, he's a real man.
He's a
now."
real man now.
You know.
Double standard.
Yep. It's fucked up. But yeah, no. And then we lose a few more samurai between here and there.
Yeah.
And then yeah, let's just talk a bit more about this fucking final, on the final day, the final morning, this final battle sequence in the rain.
Yeah.
It just
It's long.
It's long.
And there's a lot of shots they did in the rain.
And it's intense. And the whole time we were talking about like
muddy. It's
this
like Saving Private Ryan.
it must have been so shitty to film.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's just wet and muddy and gross and pissed off.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Especially Toshiro Mifune, who's like fucking naked the whole time.
Yeah, he's got his butt out the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's just crawling around in the mud. And, like,
Everyone's just wet.
Yeah.
It's cold.
And there's just a lot of intensity in this last scene, especially because like at this point they've been going through this grueling war for like days.
Yeah, everyone's exhausted,
Uh-huh.
falling asleep, and everyone's just people are like losing people. People are dying.
Yeah.
Samurai are dying. Yeah, and like not to jump too far ahead, but like that the end of the battle, when it's all said and done, like one of the youngest samurai he cries out in anguish. Like that's when, as soon as he's like all the bandits are dead, he just like cries.
Yeah, he's like freaking out because he's like overwhelmed and like he's
because
still,
like all
like,
these
amped up.
Yeah, and like his friends have died. There at the end of it, there are less samurai alive than have died.
There are three samurai alive,
and that's like the cost that they paid for these people in this village.
And 4 of them are dead. Toshiro Mifune, I love his final moments alive, like because he gets shot
Yeah.
But then like he just summons that we call it the Spartan
Yeah,
Rage.
he clicks in both of his sticks and he gets Spartan Rage.
Yeah, he just like gets like a little like a last moment of just anger.
Yeah.
To fucking kill the big.
He goes to Valhalla.
Yeah, no, and he goes to Samurai Heaven.
Yeah.
And he gets a proper samurai burial, like
Yep.
and
It's one of the mounds with the katana stuck in it.
exactly just such a great shot. I know it doesn't make any sense, but like I want my tombstone to just be a katana with my name on it.
You just should start carrying a katana around like a mall ninja.
You see,
Actually, I've been trained with shuriken.
there's no way to do that without being so fucking cringy. Because
Should wear a kimono with a fedora and sunglasses.
You see, I love the samurai aesthetic. Like I love the robes.
Yep.
Like all the robes like look so comfortable.
Everything looks cool as fuck.
Like everything looks badass. Like
Yeah.
functional and cool. But there's just no way to do it in real life.
Yeah, I've actually been trained in Shorjitsu.
Yeah.
I have an online degree. It is actually folded steel. Most of the stuff you get is die cast.
Yeah. Like lately, I've been tying my hair is long enough now. I've been tying it up into a knot, and I always just feel like my honor. Whenever I have
take a knife and cut it off.
Yeah, no, like if I ever have to get into a fight, I'm definitely doing the no more honor.
I believe that top knot was so you could like rest a helmet on your head and it wouldn't there'd be like some buffer between the helmet and your head.
Oh, was that the purpose for it?
That's my understanding. That's why like a lot of the time you'd see it like folded over like the top of their head.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
History podcast
Wow.
with someone who barely understands it.
Somebody just recommended to me a history podcast.
I was there.
Oh yeah, you were the dollop. I haven't started listening to it yet.
Yeah.
I have it favorited on Spotify, but I haven't started listening yet. Maybe
But you shouldn't listen to that. You should listen to this podcast.
okay, yeah,
Only.
listen to this podcast instead.
Yeah.
The only movie, the best movie podcast,
And history.
and history. We're talking. Yeah,
Did you know Japan
ancient
existed? Learn more at wikipedia.com/Japan.
Yeah, no, and then basically, yeah, and then there's a sad moment at the end, which I do feel like, as much shit as I feel like we talked about the love story, I do like the kind of bittersweet moment it ends on.
Yeah.
Where like she, the divide kind of happens again, where it's like,
Yep.
she's a villager.
She goes right back to work.
She goes back to work, and then he like exists out. He's a samurai, and like they just come from two different worlds, and like the class system like won't really let them be together.
Yep. And then there's that beautiful shot. That is the shot of the movie of the three surviving samurai all standing equidistant at the bottom of the frame. At the top of the frame, there's the 4 graves of the dead samurai,
including Toshiro Mifune,
and he is buried with the full honors like the rest of them.
Exactly.
And there's a big divide of just the dead peasants between them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good shot.
Yeah, it's a really good. Yeah, it really is a great movie. It's just that like you really feel the length, and
it's an epic for sure.
It's funny because I feel like when I was a little kid, I thought that like all old movies were long,
long as hell.
But
no, it's usually the opposite actually.
Yeah, no, it's not really. A lot of old movies are fucking short as fuck.
Yeah, it seems like there was no middle ground.
Yeah,
like it was either like a movie was like 85 minutes, or it was like Casablanca, or well, not Casablanca's not even that long. It was like Gone with the Wind and like 4 hours long.
Exactly.
They loved their epics and their fun little short stories.
I kind of want to come back to that, where it's like I don't need a movie that's like 2 to 2.5 hours.
No,
like 2 hours and 20 minutes is my least favorite runtime.
Yeah,
because like I feel like it's
commit or don't.
Yeah, like listen. It's too short to really give me the full scale, like whatever you're trying to do. But it's long enough where it's like if it's a simple idea,
I don't know.
Then don't, like fucking John Wick. The first John Wick is like 2 hours long.
Yeah,
but it needs to be like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it feels like if your movie is actually trying to say something, like Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, it needed that.
If your movie is. I think on the scale of like entertainment to art, the closer you are to the entertainment end of the spectrum, the shorter your movie should be. Mm-hmm. And I think you should have more freedom going up the
speed.
Yeah, exactly. Like action movies, comedies, horror movies, even probably can stand to be as short as possible. Like if you're just if I'm just here to be entertained for the length of the movie and then and not think about it afterward, keep it short.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah. I want the 3-hour cut of Speed.
Yeah.
The 3-hour cut of Jackie Chan's Police
It's
Story.
called slow.
Medium speed.
Slowed.
Slow. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's we didn't talk at all about the various adaptations / remakes of this movie.
Frankly, I haven't seen very many of them.
Yeah. Not only are there movie there are like TV show like adaptation, like the Jack.
It's just a good story.
Yeah, it's just
You get these like likable heroes to come in and protect these downtrodden shitheads.
Yeah, it's pretty universal. And even if there have been media that aren't an exact adaptation of it, like whenever we see like someone comes in to train a bunch of people to defend themselves, like, or like, oh, it's a 7 like
Yeah.
Jackie Chan, the Jack Jumps Good episode where he teaches the monkeys how to defend themselves is very much a
I think he called Samurai Jack Jackie Chan.
Samurai Jackie Chan.
No, there's a fucking movie.
There's a crossover. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, where where there's a scene where like the badass samurai is like walking in the woods. He's like hunting somebody, and they're like, "Wouldn't it be cool if he's walking along and he just runs into a predator?"
Yes, that would be fucking awesome.
If someone,
Because you said 7 samurai, but the
their
threat
fight
they're protecting the
is
village
one
from is
predator.
a predator.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect predator movie. That is a perfect predator movie.
and they all get picked off one by one over the course of the movie.
I think I heard the one that they're working on now is a Western. Yeah, I know. I knew that was going to be a reaction. It just doesn't work as well. Maybe they'll
No,
do Magnificent Seven,
it's
but
just
with the
not-
predator.
It's just not as cool.
Because they're just going to be shooting at it with
With
revolvers and then like
guns,
with like
yeah.
a Gatling gun probably.
We already kind of got that with like I really like the scene in Prey when he's fighting the Canadian like the trappers.
Yes.
Like and they have like
They have the single shot.
like the Civil War type
Yeah.
guns. Yeah, like that was cool. That gave me enough of that. You know, I think I was gonna say to you earlier, like I find it interesting that they didn't just go straight for like making the samurai Prey like Predator movie
Yeah.
as opposed to Prey. I mean, like don't get me wrong, I really like Prey, but
If this next one's successful, who knows? I think they know that people want that.
yeah, and they were very clearly thinking about it with Predators.
And if there's one thing those movies want, it's to please their audience.
Yeah. It's never going to happen, but if somebody made like a black and white old school Kurosawa movie where it's like it's normal halfway through, like it's a normal samurai movie, and then a predator shows up and it's black and white, I would lose my fucking mind.
Dusk Till Dawn, but with an established movie monster. Like, what the fuck is Michael Myers doing here?
That'd be so good. Yeah, I just want all my dumb shit to come. Although you know what, that can be a fan film.
Yes.
If somebody out there, and maybe it exists, I'll try to find it, but somebody out there make like a black and white samurai predator it can be some fucking high school anime nerd like out in the woods wearing a bathrobe. I don't care.
This is actually a kimono. It's just made of terry cloth.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Yeah, no. There's the Magnificent Seven, like which we've mentioned, which is I believe the first Magnificent Seven came out in 1960, and it's just like a Western adaptation of Seven Samurai, just like cowboys.
And you don't like it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, maybe you know what? Maybe I'll.
But I've only heard
enjoy
good
it
things
now.
about it.
Maybe I'll enjoy it now with like a new perspective. It's shorter.
Yeah,
and
I was.
Yul Brynner plays the main character, man. Yul Brynner, which
It was very successful.
What am I forgetting?
So much so that they made a remake.
Yeah, they made a remake in
2016.
Yeah, in 2016, Yul Brynner, Magnificent Seven.
And I saw that in the theater with my dad, and I don't remember much about it.
I enjoyed that movie, but he was the perfect casting because all these pictures of him.
He's the Westworld guy, isn't he?
He is. He's the guy from the Westworld movie. It's why they picked him for Westworld because he's the Magnificent Seven.
Cool.
I'm trying to find a picture of him with no hat because his head. He is the most bald head
That's why he's wearing the hat all the time.
in the universe. Oh,
Doesn't want to blind you.
well, there's one scene where he takes it off, and it's like he's Professor X. Damn, if they made an X-Men movie in the 60s, Yul Brynner would have been a perfect Professor X.
We were talking about that too.
Yeah.
It's the second time you brought up 60s X-Men.
Or like, dude, it's not possible, but I want like different arid versions. Like I was saying, like he should be Phaedra Alpha if they make a 60s Dune. If they can't, but if there was like a 60s Dune movie, he would be Phaedra Alpha.
Let's just go back in time and make movies.
Yeah. I wish that were possible. Well, I also, I just wish that like I want them to find a way. I forget if we've talked about this as far as like if they could somehow literally make a movie or a show that literally looked like it came from another time. Like I cannot tell that it was new. Like something like
yeah,
the only thing
so hard.
The only thing that I think has gotten close, that has gotten the closest, and it's ironic because it's from Disney. The first 2 or 3 episodes of WandaVision,
Okay.
Where it's like they're doing
Shot on, like the real like TV cameras,
like sitcoms and stuff.
Yeah.
Those first 2 episodes look like a 50s or 60s sitcom.
It's just that that look is so hard to reproduce.
Yeah.
Artificially, to the point where I think it might be impossible.
Yeah.
Like I think that they actually shot those on old TV cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least like they did something to simulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just like such a hard, because like it's the way it's captured in the camera.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason it looks like that. It's the way the film or the actually like reacts to it.
It also has to do with like how a lot of that old film has aged.
Yeah, that too, because movies didn't look like that when they came out.
Yeah, no, because like film restoration's amazing, and like nowadays, like with like 4K re-releases and stuff, like
Man,
they make
Star Trek looks like it came out yesterday.
Yeah, like old movies look great,
TNG.
but yeah, no, it still looks great, but there's still an element of like no matter how much you're doing, there are certain things that like you get information from the film that you just can't get back.
Yep.
And yeah, so because of that, like if you went back in time to see, like me and Courtney recently saw Alien in theaters. They re-released it for the 45th anniversary.
Yeah.
It looked great. It was a 4K restoration, but if we went back in time to 1979 and saw it in theaters, it would have looked brand new.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Because
you think about like, yeah, if you think about these old movies, you think exactly about that look that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how the people experienced it when it came out.
No.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, no, that's a nuts one. Like I think about like Oppenheimer, like all the like the film prints of Oppenheimer, and like a lot of Christopher Nolan's movies. Like right now, that's probably the highest abundance in terms of like new movies that have a lot of film print copies out.
Yeah.
Like 30, 40 years from now, we can, if there's theaters, if there's fucking anything, if there are like film showings of Oppenheimer, they're gonna look like a film movie that came out in like the 80s or 70s.
It's
now.
Crazy to think about.
Because like the film is going to degrade in that way.
Nuts. That's cool.
Yeah, something to think about. Someone from the future, come back in time and
if you're listening to this in the year 2040, leave us a comment.
Yeah, leave us a comment. Drop off a film copy of Tenet.
How's it? How are things?
Probably not great.
How's it going for you?
Probably not great.
Is it hot out there?
How much is gas? How much is a Big Mac?
How about, did Florida fall into the ocean yet?
Yeah.
California?
Did the aliens reveal themselves? But yeah, no, as far as before we get into the prop question, I want to ask, just out of curiosity, is there a Kurosawa movie that you have particular interest in watching next? Like, is there one that
Probably Ran.
I've
heard only good things about Ran.
I haven't seen Ran, so we can experience that one together.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so Seven Samurai, what prop are you picking? I feel like you can pick a few props because I feel like there's a good amount of.
I want big sword.
You want Toshiro Mifune's big sword?
It's actually a really impressive horseback katana. It's extra long. I would hang it over my TV.
Yeah.
And it'd have like little accent lights shining up on it.
Just the giant sword.
Yeah.
I really like the Young Samurai's kimono with the flowers on it.
Oh yeah, that's really nice.
Also the weed pants.
Yeah,
on
like
that
I
one
thought that's what I
samurai.
thought you were gonna pick was the weed pants.
Yeah, one of it's probably not weed, but like the leaf.
Yeah, it's
the
some
leaf
other leaf that looks like weed.
The leaf print on his shirt on his pants look like weed.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, that looks cool.
Google weed pants.
Weed
You're probably not gonna see what we're talking about, but let us know what you find.
Weed pants, Seven Samurai. I'm a big fan. I like the little like metal mask thing that Toshiro Mifune steals.
Like the weird like crown armor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I thought that looked pretty cool.
It does look cool.
I could want that.
I like his like sleeve.
Yeah,
His, like armor sleeve.
yeah. His whole like assless chap fit at the end.
Not even dude's just not wearing pants.
His assless armor.
Yeah. His legs and
Yeah.
ass are exposed. He's got like a thong.
Somehow he still looked badass.
Yeah.
Somehow he still looks.
It's all about how you carry yourself, dude.
Exactly. Like he's just so confident.
It's all confidence.
And he's just so free. And I love how like when he teases the bad guys, like his goofy walk, like when he teases the bandits.
They're all psychopaths. That guy's a fucking nut job though.
Yeah.
Like he'll like laugh at someone and then stab them and then laugh at them again.
Yeah. Like he's
They're
so
all insane.
yeah, it's so nutty.
Yeah.
But you know, lots of passion.
So you got weed pants.
Weed pants. What else? None of the other swords were particularly unique.
I picked the best one.
Yeah, you did pick the
Now
best
you
one.
have to pick from the trash pile.
The rest, well, not they're just all generic samurai swords aside from that one. I mean, maybe a bamboo spear.
There you go. Yeah, those are cool.
Or like a lot of the armor. I like just the stolen armor fit from Toshiro Mifune's big speech.
Yeah,
That's
that
just
is a good outfit.
Yeah, it's just like a good.
He looks like a broken samurai.
That's a great scene. That's the only scene I like rewatch from this movie pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah. This has been Midnight Movie Gang. This has been us talking about Seven Samurai and Mandy.
Yeah,
On its-
and Mandy.
on its way to
And
Switch.
Justice League Snyder Cut.
And Justice League, all the things.
I'm never going to watch that.
Yeah.
If someone has a gun to my head and says, watch the Justice League or I'll kill you, I'll probably watch it because I'm not insane. But I wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing. I'd love to do we talked about Men in Black last week.
Yeah.
That'd be a
Men in
fun
Black.
one.
I just saw Civil War. It's really good.
Hell yeah. We could do that one too. We could do like a Alex Garland.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said,
I think that would be a really good double feature.
I
That
re-
and 28 Days Later.
yeah, that'd be a fun one. Because I rewatched, like I said, I rewatched Ex Machina today.
Yeah.
Or like I had on the background. And I love that movie. Oscar Isaac is incredible in that one.
He's just good in general.
Yeah.
I like him.
He's one of my favorite actors. But yeah, this has been Midnight Movie Gang. It's 11:39 Night Movie Gang.
Yes.
And please like, share, subscribe.
Tell your friends
Tell your
about Midnight Movie Gang.
Tell your friends about the podcast. We're at Midnight Movie Gang on Instagram. If you have any suggestions for what movie we should watch and talk about next, please let us know. If you want to be a guest on the show and talk
Yeah.
about your favorite like hidden gem movie,
Be cool.
as long as you're not weird, we love to have you on and talk to you about
Don't
it.
be weird, dude.
Yeah, just don't be weird.
You know who you are.
Exactly. Have a nice night, y'all. Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.
So, here we go. With childish frustrations and complexes, the police are searching for James Todd, believed to be the lover of Miss Williams, and her partner in the horrible murder of Walter. Where's everybody that I hear them all go? Oh, please tell me where they've gone. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How long is it? Mile and a half? Look what I got in here. 3 tickets to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent.